Okay, we are live and we'll begin whenever you're ready, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Sean. We're ready. Welcome, Reston, to our June 23rd regular board meeting. I have actually worked on a 1-minute quick video for my opening remarks. And off we go. Christina's going to help me play it. And I will, if you didn't know who I was, there's my face. We have been hard at work. So that tells you what your board has been doing. A lot of hours, a lot of homework we've been putting in. But it hasn't been all work. We've also had some fun. And hopefully the next few. We've been out in doing fun events in the community. That's Farmers Market outside the Nature Center. We did have a wonderful board retreat where we had all 8 of our directors present, got to meet a lot of our staff. And that again is a spring festival out in the community. Here are our directors getting tutored or learning how to use their fancy tech. And finally, Christina, if you can pause here, we just want to thank Cam for all the wonderful work he's been doing, and he's been putting up with us with the tours, going out to the farmers market. But I think Larry has some more comments to add on this.
Yeah, just a few. I want to first congratulate Cam, and I hope the board does as well, and the entire community, because Cam recently passed his, and this is a great word with the particular name that Cam has, he passed his PCAM designation, which is Professional Community Association Manager, which is the highest level of certification one can get in the community association management discipline. So it was at least 80 hours of coursework. He's got continuing education requirements, and he had to write I did chat with him a little bit about a fairly brutal thesis or paper that I think he actually worked on when he was on vacation in Mexico, because it was that daunting and he had a very firm deadline in which he had to get it in. So, I personally want to congratulate Cam, because that's something that, people in the community association management business, it's the highest achievement they can get, recognized by their peers. And so with that, congratulations, and give them a little round of applause.
From all of us on the board, congratulations. And I just have one slide left, I think, Christina, if you want to go back. So the rules for the day for all of our fellow directors, and it came from our board retreat. So hopefully we'll be able to follow it, and we'll be home by 9:30. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Christina. That's done. We can, if I can get a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Arwen. Do we have any discussion, any edits, any comments?
I do have one. Larry, are you now telling us that Cam is overqualified for his job?
He's perfectly qualified, John.
Any edits to the agenda, folks?
No.
No edits,
No.
hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I think that was unanimous. Fantastic. Another motion for the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Glenn. Any comments, any discussion on the consent calendar? Nope. Secretary Flashman, you're good with all the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can we, before we go on, can we thank all of the people who applied for the DRB position, since the consent agenda is that appointment?
Absolutely.
And we really appreciate their willingness to serve.
Perfect. And those who applied for the IT committee as well. Thank you for putting up with us. We posted for another month, but thank you so much. Yes, thank you, John, for that. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And with that, member comments. Christina, do we have any member comments?
We did not have any signups, but if anybody would like to comment, please raise your hand.
Please raise your hand. If you're not comfortable sharing your address in public, please feel free to send it to Christina in chat. Chris, I see you here. Did you want to take this chance to give us a quick member comment, or do you want to do it when we get to your topic? This is Chris Ravis about.
Yeah, I'm fine to speak when our topic comes up.
Okay, perfect.
Is there somebody in the waiting room?
I do not see anybody in the waiting room.
Okay, thank you, folks. That said, we will move on right into our agenda. We do have a lot on our plate. Chris, you're actually up now. So if you want to take this opportunity and give us a quick, your 3-minute version of, or even 5 minutes, since you're representing your cluster, if you want to
Okay.
share with us any thoughts.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll click my video here so you can see me.
Yes.
So this is our second go round with the board on this topic. And it dates back a couple of years now when the Reston Association requested that we remove a few boats from a part of the shoreline close to the dam on our lake, which is actually owned by the Reston Association, but which had been occupied by our cluster for, gosh, more than 20 years or so. And a relatively small portion of the shoreline. And so we, of course, acceded to that request, but we have been eager to try to focus attention on that because it really has exacerbated already limited boat space on the lake, exacerbated overcrowding, and we consider that really also a diminishment of the property value of the lakefront and lake view owners who like to be able to have direct access to the lake with their boats. And so we have requested reconsideration of last year's, I guess, sort of non-decision really on this. And we have gone back to our lakefront and lake view owners and actually circulated a petition that expressed their concerns about this matter. Well over 30 or 32 homeowners signed the petition requesting that Reston Association allow us to return to use that part of the shoreline through really, I think probably an easement would be the ideal way to formalize what had already really been for many, many years, the arrangement that had been, I'm sure, known by the Reston Association, but they had not, bothered with us about that. So in addition, based on some conversations we had last year with your board, there was some discussion at that time about whether we would be willing to provide certain additional environmental concessions on the lake. And we, in our recent letter to you, to Jennifer, and the petition, we did in fact identify a number of things that we'd be willing to do, including some landscaping projects, some introduction of natural plants along the shoreline, a fish habitat, and we think that is we're trying to work out a good solution for all parties concerned. So we are now before you again to request your consideration of our issue. I know that one of the concerns last time had been, well, does this present a precedent for the board? Because, gosh, wouldn't other clusters be asking the same thing? But as we have expressed on a couple of occasions, we have to believe that this is a very rare, if not totally unique circumstance where we did occupy a part of the shoreline for many years, without any concerns, no requests to move. And so we think that the precedential issue is really just doesn't exist. This is a unique situation. I don't think that you're going to see this anywhere else. So that's where we stand. This is an area where it's, again, pretty small part of the lake. We could fit maybe half a dozen boats there. And it would really help us out a lot because we are getting requests all the time for new, mooring spots to open up. We just don't have the space, and we believe we're entitled to repossess that part of the land. We would like to make this a solution that works for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Chris.
you.
We will, just to clarify, we'll be talking about this in executive session because we're consulting with our counsel and he has some recommendations. Jennifer, did you want to share anything now, or and feel free to make any comments? If not, we will be talking about this matter in executive session.
No, I just want to thank Chris and Larry, especially. We have visited the land out there, and I think that we both have a really good idea of what the situation has been in the past, and what part of the lake that it's on, and really appreciate you guys bringing it to our attention, and the patience that you've had with now multiple boards of trying to get a decision made on the matter. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Jennifer, for your assistance and support on the issue as well.
And Lori, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to add that I see the part of your proposal includes beautification, which is always welcome. I did want to just point out that in Reston in particular, whenever we do beautification, whenever we do plantings, if we can stick with plants that are actually native to Virginia, those are the plants that support the caterpillars, the bugs, the birds that make Reston such a beautiful environment. And some of the plants that were listed are plants that are enjoyed by humans for their beauty, but they don't necessarily fit into a local ecosystem. So I would encourage all beautification efforts throughout Reston to focus on native plants first. But thank you for the proposal.
Thank you. And I can tell you that going forward, we're happy to introduce as many of those native plants as we can possibly do. We did do some significant work and incurred significant costs already on some of the plantings, but going forward, we'd be happy to introduce the Virginia plants.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, John?
You won't be available to us in executive session, so I just wanted to ask Chris, was there a particular reason that a license as opposed to an easement was not part of the proposal?
Not part of the proposal as far as the petition or the request?
Yeah.
Oh, we actually did mention an easement. If a license is the more appropriate vehicle, we can work with you on that. That is the form of that is something that we could certainly talk about. If that's something that's preferred, we'd like to hear your ideas about that. I don't think that we're wedded to one particular legal instrument or another. We would just like to be able to use that small spit of the land.
Understood. Thank you for that answer.
Thank you, Chris. Glenn, go ahead.
I just had a couple questions, Chris. So you mentioned about a half dozen boats can fit in that space. Is that correct?
I'm guessing, yeah. I think so. About a half a dozen or so. Yes.
There's many more houses in that cluster than half a dozen. So how do you decide who gets to have their boat?
Well, what we try to do is to locate boats in general proximity to where the homeowners are. And so as a result of having moved off that part of the shoreline, there's a group of townhomes, including the Lakeview townhomes, that now don't have any sort of general proximity to the lake. So they've squeezed the rest of the boats down the shoreline. And so what we would do is be able to not only hopefully move boats back to in general, proximity to where those homes are, but also hopefully open up a couple of other currently unused spots further down on the lake. Our goal, frankly, is to try to be able to give everyone who wants a mooring spot and has a boat the ability to use that. So the area that we're talking about would more or less correlate with those homes that are in that area. And similarly, as you go down the shoreline, we try to line up boats, as close to the homes as possible. So there are a number of course, we have boats on the lake now,
Yeah.
but this would really sort of allow us to accommodate more boats for homeowners and
So
on the lakefront.
Is there an excess of demand for moorings today versus supply? So there's
Yes.
many more. Okay. And are
Yes.
you the cluster, the ones who decide who gets to have a mooring?
We do. We regulate, so to speak, the mooring spots on the lake. Those spots are not owned by homeowners. They are really owned by the cluster.
Thank you.
Charlotte, I saw that you had your hand up. If you want to make a quick comment, please go ahead. Christina, can we unmute Charlotte, please?
Hi, I just wanted, I'm Charlotte Fandy. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association, but Chris is our spearhead for all of this. And with your question, Glenn, I just wanted to throw in the clarification, if it's needed, or it might not be, that we have more townhomes in our cluster than we have boat spots anyway, totally, but we're limiting the mooring spots to only lakefront homes. And we have this one little section that's lake view. We're kind of considering those lakefront. But the homes on the glade side aren't open for mooring spots because, yeah, there's not enough.
Thank you.
And Charlotte, I'm going to ask that if you can text your address to Christina, please, or, on chat. Thank you.
Sure.
Erwin, go ahead.
Yes, Chris, my name is Erwin Flashman. I have a question for you, and that is, are you now observing the 50% rule, or do you propose to have that rule not apply to you?
We have been observing the 50% rule. It is something that we had asked that the board consider whether that could be relaxed at all. But to be honest with you, I have not gone out and kind of done any kind of measurement or calculation as to how the additional boats would work as far as the 50% rule. I believe, though, just based on just sort of looking at it and being familiar with the shoreline, that we should still be able to comply with the 50% rule. We try to have ample room between the boats. And that's, again, part of the reason why we're coming to you is right now we're squeezed pretty tightly. So we think that if we could sort of spread out along the shoreline, we would be able to not only accommodate those that want boats, but also still have plenty of room for, moving in and out, between the boats, and also observe the 50% rule. But I have not done a survey or a calculation or gone out there with a yardstick or anything like that. That's just my best guess of it.
Perfect. Yes, Glenn, go ahead.
One last thing, Chris, you mentioned that you've been using that space for more than 20 years. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, folks. If there's no other questions, and Chris, I know this is asking much, but if you wouldn't mind hanging out, we'll have some fun videos playing when we go to executive session. If there are any directors with any questions, if we want to bring you into executive session, if you don't mind waiting. We may not, full disclosure, we may not have an answer for you when we come out, because it could be that we're directing our staff to come out with a different proposal. So, but if you can hang out, that'll be great. Thank you.
I will do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty, moving on to our next agenda item, item F.
Madam President,
Yes, Erwin.
Mr. Smoot is present here, and he is the appellant in the case of the 1601 Washington Plaza LLC matter.
Yes, Erwin.
And he was offered the opportunity to speak during member comments if he should so desire.
Before we go into executive session, because we have the candidates waiting, so we'll do the agenda. And before we go into executive session to discuss this matter, I will absolutely open it up for him. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have 4 fantastic candidates and they're all here today. I saw at least 2 on camera and I see Radhika and Margaret as well. I'm going to do a quick thank you, welcome, and then hand it over to our board assistant secretary, Christina, who's going to run the process with you. But I just want to say we've usually run around looking for candidates and we don't get people to volunteer. So to see 4, we have a really tough decision ahead of us, each one more qualified than the others. This is fantastic. I can't thank you enough for applying and going through this complete process with us. That said, I will hand off to Christina to walk us through the process.
Okay, so
Thank
in accordance with Board and Association Resolution 14, which is the director and officer appointment process, 4 candidates have been certified as eligible to occupy the vacancy in the Hunters Woods Dogwood District seat. These candidates, they're going to be called upon in alphabetical order to give a brief 5-minute statement. Following each statement, the current board will have the opportunity to ask questions of that candidate related to their qualifications to serve on the board. After applicants have been given their statements and been given the opportunity to answer questions, the board will adjourn into executive session to discuss. Once the board returns from executive session, they will vote on the appointment of applicant to the Hunters Woods Dogwood seat. Upon a successful vote of the board, the qualified applicant will be immediately seated on the board. So starting in alphabetical order, first is David, and I am going to unmute you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, and I am starting your 5 minutes now, David.
Okay, I will try to be brief. Not easy for me. And Miss Easterly, I would like to see your video because all I see is your name, and I'm deaf, and I like to. But I heard everything you said, so that's a great thing. I knew I was going to come first. I get to be the lead off. I mean, really? Why did I apply for this? I applied for this because community members reached out to me and said, you ought to do this. And so I was dubious at first because it's a long way, but here we are. The Crocker family has lived in Reston for almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years this October. And I've done a lot of, my family has done a lot of good things around here. I've been a bus stop dad, we've been Scout parents, we've been involved I've been a HOA board member and president, vice president. I've served my community as best I can. To do something good for my community. I have a lot of experience. I really hope you all, Miss Easterly, I hope everybody got to see my short resume.
We did. Thank you.
It was a little more detailed than, here's the thing, that I was asked and it was deadline was impending and I dashed off that application. And then when I read the other 3, Carol's and Radhika's and Margaret's, all of whom I'm acquainted with in some fashion or another in our community, I was like abashed. I was embarrassed because I was like, oh, I looks like I'm 64 years old and that looks like I'm 24. It looks so naive. And I wanted to show you, I have experience. I believe, I know what I can add. I know what I can contribute. It's a 10-month candidacy. All I'm trying to do is in a 10-month period, it is like make you all proud. Seriously, that's the only reason.
Thank you.
Somebody convinced me. I don't know who she was. Sarah knows her, but she came to my door and she convinced me. She said, "Oh, this, and so and so said this," and I'm like, "Okay, fine." And I was so dubious. And she said, I'll have a board member call you and verify this. And I did. She did. And so here I am.
Your community loves you and you came very, very highly recommended in your community. So thank you for being a great Restonian. Thank
Well,
you.
I'm honored just to be this far along. I mean, really, I am. I mean, so
Thank you. Thank you, David, for
I'm
applying.
looking at the timer. Where's the timer? I don't see the timer. I want to wrap this up. There are a lot of things. There are a lot of there are a lot of concerns I have for our community. Everything from plight of people who don't make as much as we do, to environmental issues. I read the climate assessment report on the advice of Mr. Flashman after consulting with him. It is really, really good. That climate thing, that climate report is really, really good. I have a couple of things. I hope I get to ask you questions later, how this turns out about this, and so on and so on. It's not hard for me. It's hard for me to be brief.
You're doing fine.
It's hard for me to be brief, but I've always been someone who committed to community service. And it's weird, y'all. I know Margaret, I know Radhika. I'm acquainted with Radhika. I don't know Carol, but their resumes were much more impressive than mine.
Not a bit. Not a bit, sir.
Nice bullet points and everything. So I was thankful that I got to ask for a resubmission of something a little more experiential and so on. Resume. I thank you for your consideration. I promise you, no matter what this outcome, I will be attentive and observant and ready to step up any next opportunity. This opportunity was offered to me to step up, and there's a little bit of gumption on my part, but thank you for the honor of doing so.
Thank you, David. The honor is all ours. Thank you so much for applying. And we're so happy to hear that we're going to see more of you, regardless of how this goes. And that's all I can ask of all the candidates, to stay involved. Thank you. Well, Christina, it's your show. I won't interrupt. I'll let you go ahead.
Is this when we're supposed to ask questions, Madam President?
Yes.
Sure.
Sorry.
I have one, and it'll be the same for all of the candidates. Having been involved in trying to get people elected to the RA board for, Erwin, help me out here, 12 years, 15 years, something like that.
Right.
More than I've been around.
The Hunters Woods district is probably the hardest district for us to get candidates to run for full terms. If you're appointed for the balance of this term, what are your intentions with regard to running for a full 3-year term next January, April? You start in January and the election's announced in April. Do you have any intention in that direction?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
In my application, it was kind of abbreviated. Remember, they said, "What are your goals?" And I said, "I'm going to look out for people who are less well off than me."
Saw that.
Where I live in Hunters Woods, across the street from the Hunters Square Village Center,
right?
What a lot of people call the Soviet Safeway.
Right.
I see folks from all around, from Pinecrest, Freetown, Windsor, the senior center, and they're less well off than the clientele, the demographic, the people I see at South Lakes. I mean, you go to South Lake Safeway and compare it to our Safeway, it's like, you know, but I know our Safeway, I know where all the vegetables are. I know where everything is. I know I don't have to go searching around for stuff. I
Right.
walk across the street.
Right,
I get some exercise.
right.
There's a lady at the Burger King, dude, she's named Esmeralda. She's been a Latino lady. She's been there since we moved here 19 years ago.
Right,
I used to take the boys over there,
right.
and we see her, and it's like, it's hello all over again.
I know Esmeralda.
There's a bus stop down below the Wells Fargo Bank.
Yep.
There's an underpass for years that I've lived here. Homeless people have slept there.
Right.
David, I think we're running close to our time. Christina, how are we doing?
Okay. But
Thank
you.
you.
Get my point. You get my
Thank you.
point, sir.
Absolutely, we did. Thank you. Christina?
Sure. So next, we have Radhika, and I am trying to unmute you now.
Perfect. There you go. Hi.
Thank you, Christina. So my name, I did tell Christina that it was Queen of Sheba, but it's actually Radhika with a stress on the Ra. Also, David, first of all, I love you. I think you're absolutely awesome. I know much more about you than you know about me. Also, please be my guide to the Safeway because I get lost at every grocery store I enter. So I have to agree with David. I was very, very kicked when I saw the roster of candidates, and I felt like I should withdraw my name because everyone is so qualified and so much better suited than I would be. But anyway, here we are. So let me give you, I won't take up the full 5 minutes because I believe brevity is very important. I have lived in Reston pretty much full time since I was 19. I took more than the number of years I should to go to college, but my father had a home in Reston, so I kept coming back from Williamsburg. I love Reston. I cannot stress this enough. I love Bob Simon's plan of inclusivity. I love the fact that when my kid goes to school, 20% of the children that he hangs out with and calls his best friends are free and reduced lunches, because I believe that when you grow up with people, so I'm Hindu, and Hindu philosophy informs a lot of what I think. And in Hindu philosophy, we believe that your circumstances are transient and you should have an identity that is separated from what you own. And so I believe that when kids grow up together and they go to the same pools and they play in the same creek and they mountain bike on the same trails, they grow up better people. And so I really, really love that Reston continues to protect the ability of people of all income ranges to have safe, affordable housing and get the benefit of these beautiful woods and trails and pools and tennis courts. So the amount I love Reston there's no limit to it. I will probably never leave unless someone gives me a villa in the south of France, then I'll leave part-time. But I just absolutely love it. So that's why I applied. My background is that I've been working since I was 19, first with an IT company. I started running my first business, which was a multi-million-dollar business when I was 26. I've run businesses ever since. I have an MBA from Georgetown, which was very nice because it put some theory behind my practice of running businesses. My strengths, which a lot of people don't like to focus on, is that I'm very good at making money when it's private money, and I'm a very good shepherd of other people's money. And I think that when I ran, for example, the Hunters with PTA, or I was on the board of the RSTA, I think it's extremely important when you have somebody else's money to be much more judicious with it than you would your own. And also, I think that because I have a very strong and widespread network in Reston, I can be another liaison and a bridge between what the board and the Reston Association are trying to do and the community at large. So that is my summary. I hope it was less than 5 minutes. And now questions are welcome.
John, did you say you had the same question for all the candidates? So I think Radhika, you know, his question was, would you be running? Would you consider running?
Sure.
for
I mean, you're going to appoint David because he's awesome, but should you appoint me, I will run for election.
Any other directors, any questions? Oh, Christina, sorry, again, it's your show. Keep interrupting. Go for it.
Sure. So thank you. If no other questions, we can move on to Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, good to see you all.
There you go.
Very cool, Radhika. Love hearing from you. I hear we have a mutual friend in Catherine, my neighbor. Yeah, that's cool. So good evening, Board of Directors, and to all in attendance. If you'll excuse me averting my eyes a little bit, I've written down what I want to say because I would not remember everything. I'm Carol Nahorniak, and I reside at 2629 Fox Mill Road in the Hunters Woods Dogwood District of Reston. As you've seen from my candidate statement and in my letter to the board and in my resume, I have a proven record of leadership and project accomplishments, which are achieved through collaboration with others toward a common goal. I'm humbled to have been recruited for the many roles I've led in my volunteer work and in my career. Through my volunteer work with former RA advisory committees and with Friends of Reston over the past 10 years altogether, I'm very aware of the RA board's level of responsibilities and the ups, the downs, and the issues faced. I've really enjoyed working with various working relationships with Reston Association's past and present CEOs, board presidents, management, and staff. I have a demonstrated history here and also a mindset of looking toward the future. I'm quite enthralled and energized by changes that deliver advantages. My enthusiasm for Reston has never faded in the 26 years I've lived here. Reston has always had a distinctive atmosphere. It's a unique environment, and RA is largely responsible for the preservation of these characteristics. Reston's atmosphere attracts residents who are authors, artists, architects, scientists, conservationists, tycoons, and outstanding volunteers. Our success as a community can also be measured by the accomplishments of our children, including my own 2 sons. There are many professional athletes, musicians, artists, entrepreneurs, and early adopters of the IT world whose cultivation took place in Reston. Our relatively small population has produced remarkable success stories, and Reston often appears in national lists, in national lists of the best for living, retiring, community events, and more. Living in Reston is enriching on many levels. Reston's #1 amenity is nature. And over the past couple of years, we've become especially aware of how we are nurtured by the natural environment. We have strong appreciation for the 55 miles of trails, the lakes, the pools and tennis courts, the abundant opportunities for recreation and learning, the camps and programs for children, and much more that is managed by RA. We realize the advantages of Reston's deed of dedication that maintains a spirit of cooperation and cohesion, and the covenants that help us sustain our property values. Again, I say RA is largely responsible for the preservation of this unique environment that is so beneficial for the quality of life of Reston's residents and for businesses. Another top quality of Reston is its volunteers. I'm always impressed by the professionals who devote time and responsibility in RA's various advisory committees and with those who help out in an array of activities. To volunteer as a member of the RA Board of Directors is a serious commitment to participate as a public official. The 2023 budget planning has begun, and a new CEO for Reston Association will be selected. RA and its Board of Directors are governed by the laws of Virginia Non-Stock Corporations and the Property Owners Association Act. We are all governed by the laws of our municipality, which is Fairfax County, and its Board of Supervisors that is ultimately in charge of development in our community. The management of Reston has extra layers of responsibilities. Pardon me. I very much appreciate the opportunity of being a candidate for the Board of Reston Association. and I had great admirations for the other candidates. As you're making your decision tonight, you'll be considering the advantages of convenience, knowledge, and tenacity of the candidates, and how each would be of benefit to RA and our community. I feel all of us here can relate to the inspiring words of George Bernard Shaw, and you may have heard this one before. He said, "I'm of the opinion that my life belongs to the community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can." And I think that's how I feel, and most volunteers probably do. Thank you for your time, and thank you, all of you, for what you do for our community. And John, would you like me to go ahead and answer your question?
If you don't feel, jump on it.
I already. Okay. I'm hoping I intend to, but my strong feeling is that I would hope that other candidates, we have 4 tonight, I would hope that other candidates would come forward and we'd have a hearty election. I would hope that everyone would be inspired by the work that is going to be done by this board through in the next 10 months, and also the work of the new CEO. So I have positive feelings toward that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Are there other questions, or if not, next is Margaret. And Margaret, I just tried to unmute you. There we
I'm
go.
unmuted now. Thank you.
Hi, Margaret.
I didn't want to unmute until it was my time to speak. Just, in general, I have family around, and although they all know I'm in a meeting sometimes. So my name is Margaret Perry. I live at 2302 Whitetail Court, also in the Hunters Woods Dogwood District. I did not prepare a speech, but I do have a few points that I wanted to make note of. I have been a Reston resident since 2010, September to be exact, because I was 9 months pregnant with my youngest. And I have lived within 4 miles of Reston since 1999. So I've been in the area a long time and in Reston for quite a while too. I have 3 children, all of whom attended schools within Reston. One is a graduate of South Lakes High School, the other is entering South Lakes High School, and I have one entering Langston Hughes Middle School. I have a lot of involvement in the community, both at the school level, but also other things. I do work with some local youth sports groups, so I'm very familiar with the Reston Fields, for example, and various issues that are around because of those. We have some wonderful fields in Reston. We have some not so wonderful fields in Reston. So I personally love the premise of the live, work, play. I think that should apply not only to current Reston residents, but it should also apply to current Reston employees. So we want to make sure that when we are looking at those budget needs, that it includes making sure that our the staff can also live, work, and play in Reston. And that's a very difficult line to balance. We want to make sure that people are not overpaid, but also not underpaid. So just throwing that out there is something that does matter to me. I also love all the various spaces that we have. We have a lot of things happening within the technology quarter, the business quarter, where growth is expected and planned for. And I am a big believer that there are certain growth that is not planned for, and therefore we need to make sure we stay in that Reston master plan and we preserve that Reston master plan. So that is something that I'm also strongly believe in. I do know that the Reston Association website has been temporary for quite a while, and I would love to see that be not temporary. I'd love to help with that. For example, the candidacy form that I filled out, I was all excited. It's a fillable PDF. It's not a usable fillable PDF. There's some flaws in there that I'd love to see fixed. Again, these are little things that aren't a huge deal, easy to overcome, but they take time, they take effort, sometimes they take money. And so all of that needs to be considered and addressed for future by the board as a whole, whether that includes me or not. I also, let's see, just so you know, I do have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I have a minor in European studies, a minor in Japanese studies. I did attend law school, but I chose not to continue. I was a paralegal for 10 years. I did own a business that unfortunately did not flourish as I would have liked. I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years. I did a lot of volunteer work during that time. Again, I am involved with youth sports organizations in Reston, and so have a lot of connections through that. I did go back to work in the last few years full time. I am a government contractor in IT help desk. I am not an IT expert. I do not claim to be. I know enough to get myself in trouble with my computer, and can help you potentially get out of trouble with your computer. But that's about it. So my goal for being on the board, and by the way, just so you know, the reason I haven't run in the past is not because I haven't thought about it, but because I knew I didn't have the time or energy to fulfill the commitment that I know that this requires. I'm not sure how much energy I have, but I always make time for various things and felt that this was a good time and a good stepping stone for dipping my toe in the water, making sure it was a good fit for the board, for myself, and thought that I would like to try helping out at this time. My kids are older, and I have
I'm sorry, Margaret, that's fine.
I'm sorry. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there
I
questions?
wanted to answer John's question real quick. As far as running for the board, I certainly would absolutely consider it. I have not decided yes today, but certainly something that I would definitely consider.
I actually have two more questions for Ms. Perry, if that's appropriate, Madam President.
Sure.
Let's see, your Whitetail Court, is that part of a cluster?
It's not specifically a cluster, it's off Old Trail, so
Okay.
near Glade Pool.
Yeah, I know where it is. I just couldn't figure out if you were part of a cluster. And
Not that I'm aware of.
okay, and somebody told me, and I find it attractive. Are you you're a tenant in your house, or do you?
I
own
am.
the house? You're a tenant.
I am.
Okay. Well, that's
For the last 12 years.
very good. I just wanted to confirm what someone else had told me. So
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. David, did you have a quick comment? Christina, can we unmute David for a quick second? I think he has a remark.
David, I just tried to there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Miss Perry and I are acquainted through Scouts and community, but I should tell you about her kids. Her kids are absolutely awesome. Her oldest is was a soccer star at Virginia Tech, and is a stellar scholar there too.
Thank you.
And I have all the admiration and respect for her. I didn't know what I was getting into. So when I saw the competition, I was like, yeah, this is big time in the community in Reston.
Oh, thank you. Well, and I apologize, but just quickly, the board cannot lose with any of the 4 candidates you have to choose from. We all bring something to the table. We all have various backgrounds. So I don't think the board can make a bad decision here this evening.
No.
It's the most difficult decision we're going to make this evening.
You and I are on the same page, Margaret.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks, so much. We're running a few minutes behind, So if no other questions, we're going to go into executive session, but you'll have a lot of fun videos to watch when we're there, and we'll be back with our decisions. If there's a motion to move into executive session, please.
Madam President, I move that the Board of the Reston Association go into executive session to discuss contractual matters, violation matters, personnel matters, and a covenant committee appeal.
Oh, Erwin, I know I made a mistake. I forgot about Mr. Smoot. Can we, Robert's rules, can I hold this
Absolutely.
vote?
There was no
The
second.
motion is debatable, ma'am.
Right, there
So
was no second, so we're just going to hold up for a minute. And if, Christina, if you can invite Mr. Smoot to make a comment. I had him on my screen. I don't see him anymore.
I'm sorry, I don't actually see him here anymore.
Yeah. Erwin, we might have missed the opportunity. If he comes back.
In any event, I do want to make a statement, a very brief one in regards to the appeal that he has filed.
Sure.
I was the plaintiff in that matter, or the complainant really is the term appropriate. And because I am a member of the board, I will not participate in any decision concerning his appeal. And I will actually, hopefully that matter will be handled last in the executive session, and I will leave the executive session before that matter is decided and discussed.
Got it. Thank you, Erwin. Okay, John, your motion. We're back on the table.
okay, so I need a second.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm here to give you a capital projects update on second quarter projects. As always, is a reference to the capital projects map that can be found on the RA webpage. This shows all the active, scheduled, and completed projects that's overlaid on a Google map and provides some information regarding location, its status, some pictures, and a description of the project. This year, there are a total of 69 projects. Of those, 24 projects have been completed, 17 are in progress, and 26 are scheduled. There are also 2 canceled projects that are the Hunting Horn Tot Lot and the Uplands Cabinets that were a carry forward from 2021. Both projects were deemed non-mission critical at this stage and were canceled in order to help offset other projects. One emergency project did occur in May where a blockage was found in one of the sanitary lines at CSF and had to be repaired before it caused any significant damage to the main building. Some second quarter project highlights include the Phase 2 pool projects. The Glade pool flooring was replaced that you can see in the bottom 3 images of the before, during, and after. The Hunters Woods pool exterior repairs and repainting. Tall Oaks pool roof replacement. Uplands pool electric. We can see the lighting being replaced in that center image. And the Ridge Heights pool refurbishment that included the chip out and removal of all the accumulated plaster in the main and waiting pools, as well as new tile and coping and LED lighting. Another second quarter project highlight was the temporary road project that was completed. This project included the addition of an accessible pathway to the pavilion and restrooms, a relocation of the bathroom enclosure and dumpster, and repaving and restriping of the parking lot, as well as new barbecue grills. Another second quarter project highlight was the Browns Chapel exercise trail installation. This project was completed in May and was the installation of 3 exercise stations that are along the Browns Chapel ball fields number 2 and 3. These stations provided additional exercise opportunities as well as ADA accessibility. An outlook on third quarter projects include Phase 3 pool projects that are the Lake Audubon pool roof replacement and installation of patron lockers at Glade. At CSF, we'll be replacing the covered storage roof and installing new shop area doors. Along the pathways at Dogwood Elementary and Soapstone Drive, we'll be installing 2 new footbridges. And Newbridge and Walnut Branch multipurpose courts will be crack repaired and recolored. Now for an update on major projects, starting with Barton Hill Tennis. Barton Hill Tennis is still in the planning and scoping phase of the project lifecycle and will require approval of the key decision point number 1 before moving into the design architect engineering phase. The earlier zoning decision placed by the Fairfax County has been appealed and accepted, and the hearing has been scheduled for the July 20th BZA meeting, where we'll be repleting our case to overturn the prior zoning decision that necessitated a PRC plan amendment to install lighting at the tennis courts. The next major project update is the Shadowwood Pool refurbishment. Shadowwood Pool is also in the planning and scoping phase of the project lifecycle, and Kimley Horn is working on developing the concept design that followed the board decision to refurbish rather than repair renovate as decided at the March BOD meeting. On-site meeting with Fairfax County officials is being coordinated to outline the permit requirements, and we anticipate a concept design for board review and approval during the July board meeting that will then allow us to move into the design, architecture, and engineering phase of the project lifecycle. Here is an initial concept draft of the project that includes the squaring of the west end of the pool for lap swimming and relocation of the stairwell, installation of a natural gas line for pool heating, an accessible route from the parking lot, and we're also evaluating the option to install a splash pad where the current wading pool is located. The next major project update is the Hunters Woods Ballfield redevelopment. The Hunters Woods Ballfield redevelopment project is currently in the design, architecture, and engineering phase, and following the additional county-required geotechnical testing, we are awaiting final approval of the minor site plan by Fairfax County. In late May, the Capital Projects Department filed the application for final DRB approval, which will be reviewed at the June 21st meeting. Following that hopeful approval, the board will need to approve the key decision point number 2 before moving into the estimation and procurement phase of the project. The last major project update is the Lake Throw Pool project. Lake Throw Pool is in the construction and implementation phase of its life cycle. After 6 months of effort, all the building permits have been obtained. However, we are still waiting on the last required permit from VDOT before we can schedule the pre-construction meeting with Fairfax County. Unfortunately, due to this extended permitting process, the project has been severely delayed and will likely open after the 2023 Memorial Day weekend target date. We are currently working with the contractor Huber Construction on developing an updated schedule for the project, and once that has been developed, we'll be sure to share it with the community. In addition, the community will be notified 2 weeks prior to mobilization via postcard, email, and social media. Here's a snapshot of the capital financials in the second quarter. Of the $6.4 million budget, $709,000 has been executed. We anticipate the completion of all projects, $6.4 million in execution, which leaves us about a negative $3,000 variance. This is predominantly due to the ongoing supply chain impacts and inflation the construction industry has been experiencing in the last several months. Keep in mind that over 50% of this year's budget is in the Lake Throw Pool project, which has not yet started construction. If you have any questions or comments on any projects, please feel free to contact the Capital Projects Department at capitalprojects@reston.org or leave us a message at 703-435-65.
You are able to watch that are part of this meeting as well. So I will touch on maintenance and natural resources, governance, communications, a little finance, and HR and administrative services. So with that, let's get started. So some of the big highlights: the board is continuing its CEO search and is hoping to wrap that up fairly soon. We are continuing our director of HR search, and we do have a candidate who we are close to making an offer to, so we're excited about that. And we will shortly be commencing a search for a watershed manager, as Michael Geiger will be leaving the employ of Reston Association to take on new opportunities. Most of the Reston Comprehensive Plan Task Force draft and the county staff comments and rewritten sections are under review by the task force. They've had many meetings here in the month of June, and hope to wrap that up. And there's more on that in the land use presentation that is also part of this meeting. We've got the insurance bidding process that's wrapping up, and hopefully for our July 1st renewal. And then, very importantly, summer is here. Camps, aquatics, tennis, and full play, swim and swing. Lots of people using our facilities, lots of people signed up for programs, so we're excited about that. And recently we had 2 long-standing Reston events held at RA facilities, the 34th Jim McDonald Lake Swims at Lake Audubon and the 16th Reston Sprint Triathlon at Lake Newport Pool. So in the Maintenance and Natural Resources divisions, the construction department's been very busy. They've got new playground borders and an ADA ramp at Lake Ann Park with new grills. Temporary Road, which recently saw some major ADA and accessibility improvements, also has new grills installed, including an ADA grill. And then we also did a bunch of work on our sidewalks and pathways, removing tripping hazards. So we're excited to get that done. And that's a program that we go out and monitor our pathways. And if we see a hazard on one of the sidewalks or asphalt pathways, we try to take care of those on an annual basis. The watershed team assisted with the Reston Kids Trout Fishing Day, which is put on by Wetland Studies and Solutions, Trout Unlimited, the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries. And when they also facilitated and participated in a soil morphology class and a Fellowship House Earth Day event. We've completed the seasonal stream monitoring, performed our annual goose egg addling, which is under permit with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and we held a stream monitoring volunteer recruitment and appreciation event, which was well attended. On the tennis front, we replaced all the benches at Autumnwood with recycled plastic. We did those in-house, and we're going to a program now of using the recycled lumber on our trash cans and benches. They last a lot longer, and we can do those in-house, so we're excited to keep that program rolling. We passed our annual county fire inspection, which is really important. They come in and inspect the central services facility and the warehouse to make sure that things are being stored correctly and access aisles are clear and so forth. So we're pleased to have gotten through that again. And on the natural areas front, we completed a new pollinator garden over by the Hunters Woods Fellowship House, and it was dedicated by Ed Begley Jr. And that was a really nice event. And we're also revamping 2 or 3 more meadows this fall for pollinators, which is an important aspect for the foliage of Reston, which is very important to this community. We've completed our 3rd cycle of VDOT roadway mowing, mulched and wood chip all of our rec facilities, and we also updated the CSF pollinator landscape, which is a beautiful spot if you get a chance to get over to our central services facility on Sunset Hills Road. And we've completed our first round of pathway pruning and mowing, and we will do that at least 1 or 2 more times as we go through the summer season. Again, IT will have a separate presentation, but I'll just touch on a couple things. We've had a very successful collection of the 2022 assessments. Over 86% of the fees have been collected. And part of that 14% of the fees not collected, those owners, 1,240 of them, received their past due letters, and those were mailed out on June 1st. The 2021 audit is kicking off in mid-June with a target report release date of July 31st. And I know the finance staff is really excited to get that moving. We re-engaged our managed service provider, Red River, and also added some additional security measures for that. And our VCIO, Michael Lockett, and staff are developing a proposal to move the phone system to the cloud in 2023. This will be reviewed by the IT committee and then be forwarded to the board for consideration in the 2023 budget. Now, there's a lot of words here, but I'll just touch on a few of these. We recently held the second meet and greet, well, the Covenant staff did, and we had representatives from Dominion Energy and Supervisor Alcorn's office there to talk about lighting and the difficulty really in dealing with the new zoning ordinance, as well as Dominion with respect to the lighting offered by Dominion. And so this is something we're going to work with Supervisor Alcorn's office and the Department of Planning and Development as we go forward to hopefully make that process a little easier, so that the lights that do get used by Dominion are in concert with the cluster standards. Several vacancies in the Covenant Department have been filled, and I know Cam Adams, our director there, and the other managers are excited about that. And we hope to fill the last 2 vacant positions before the end of this year. The entire Covenant staff underwent some quarterly training with respect to the design review board process so that everybody can respond to the membership with an understanding of how that process works, and the ability to answer questions of the membership when they call or encounter our staff in the field. And then I'm really happy to report that Cam Adams, again, our Director of Covenants, just earned the Professional Community Association Manager designation from the Community Association Institute. And this is the highest certification in the Community Association Management discipline and requires over 80 hours of education, continuing education, and a lengthy exam. And I also do recall that Cam was working on, I think, a 120-page thesis or report that was also part of that process. So congratulations to Cam. We're excited to have a PCAM on our staff. And then the Covenant staff is actively working on revisions to resolutions pertinent to design review and covenants, as well as looking at the design guidelines to see if we can get some reduced review levels and clarifications so that staff can approve more of the applications, because there's such a huge number of applications that come through each year, and this would be a direct benefit to the membership. So the Covenant staff is actively working on that. And communications, we are seeing really high open rates on our RA News and the Cluster Connect, as well as the Parks and Rec monthly highlights. So this is exciting, and we want to continue moving that so that we get more exposure and more education out to the membership. Communications has recently led the effort to improve the look and branding of RA board meetings, and you may notice with the board members having a standard background now, so it's easy to see who the board members are during those meetings versus the attendees or staff that may be attending. And we launched our first Google ad campaign, which is a way we can track metrics and the open and click rates, and we're going to look at doing more of this in the future. And thus far, we see fairly positive cost per click, and in terms of industry standards. So again, we'll look at perhaps doing this a little more in the future, again, to get our information out to the membership in a inexpensive and digital way. And we're seeing high member satisfaction with member services. So we've got a Net Promoter Score of 80, which is 93% of the people are responding that they're very satisfied with their interaction. So it's really important this time of year, as we've got a lot of people coming in to drop off paperwork, whether it's for camps or to pick up pool and tennis passes or register for programs and things like that. The next activities guide may be in your inbox as we speak or as you listen to this video, and it will be available in a digital format on the website, as we have been doing for some time now. And then a new and I think really interesting thing is the communications staff and the social media team will be doing a series of, what's a good term for this, vignettes or whatever on RA staff. So we have over 100 full-time staff, and what we want to do is highlight the varied work that the staff does. We have lots of disciplines here, from we've got our maintenance staff, we've got landscape staff, we have our covenants advisors, lots of different people who are at work in the community, and we think it's important that the membership get to know who some of these people are and learn a little bit about them. We think it'll be a little bit more personal as well. And then on the HR and administrative services side, we've onboarded about 373 seasoned employees, and that's for camps, aquatics, tennis, CSF, Nature House, and member services, which is a real kudos to the HR staff, which is also in the absence of an HR director, have really been working hard to get these people on board and get all the paperwork done and so forth, so that we can provide great service to our members this summer. whether it's in our programs or at our facilities. They've also recently participated in the National Rec and Park Association salary survey and a USI benefits benchmarking study, the reports from which will be very helpful for staff and the board as we go into the 2023 budget development process. And we also coordinated a smooth transition to a new management company. The Reston Corner office park where RA's headquarters are situated was sold, and I think March 1st was the closing date. So we were coordinating with the new management company here, and that's gone well. And we've initiated and administered our required diversity and harassment training via Trailient Training Services. And then there's just a general look ahead. We're going to look at new hire and employee satisfaction results and draft some action items from that. We've got some required filings for the 401k and the EEO1. Then we'll also look forward to the Camps and Aquatics Program licensing audit, which are annual audits done. And we have had very great success, meaning that our paperwork is in order and that we're doing everything correctly. And then we're also going to participate in a Kingstown Residential Owners Corporation benefits and compensation survey, which again will also be useful as we go into the budget. And with that, I hope you all have a great summer. Hopefully you get a chance to visit one of our pools, walk or run on our pathways, perhaps participate in a tennis or pickleball lesson. And if you have kids, no better way for them to enjoy part of the summer than participating in Reston Association camps, which have been around for a long, long time, and we think is a great value for the membership. So with that, I thank you.
Hello, my name is Laura Kowalski. I'm the Director of Recreation and Environmental Education. Today, I'm with you to share an overview of our department, provide an update of where we've been in the first and second quarter, and then also take a look ahead in each one of our departments for some fun summer activities. Our department provides programming, events, and educational opportunities to members at the facilities and lands that are managed by Reston Association, from pools, tennis, pickleball, recreation areas, our Walker Nature Education Center, conference centers, and then also locations both in and outside of Reston. Our subdepartments provide excellent opportunities for fun. Aquatics, camps, events, administration, pickleball tennis, the Walker Nature Education Center, and Volunteer Reston are all things that are part of the association. It's likely that many people moved here for the recreational amenities that Reston has to offer. With 1,300 acres of land across Reston, Reston has a wide variety of locations and facilities and amenities for us to provide excellent programming opportunities. Our aquatics department has 5 full-time staff to run the program. Seasonal employees also include lifeguards, instructors, instructor trainers for water fitness, lifeguarding, swim lessons, safety, staffing, maintenance, pool operators, desk attendants are all part of the pool operation for our 13 facilities. We also, with our aquatics department, they take care of the boat rental docks, and we hire boat dock attendants and then also instructors for that program as well. We utilize community volunteers through the events and socials, and we work closely with the American Red Cross and Fairfax County Department of Health to keep our facilities safe. There are 15 pools throughout the community, with 13 that will be in operation this summer. Our Lake Thoreau pool construction for renovation will begin soon, and our Shadowwood pool will begin design. We have one 50-meter pool at Lake Newport and 2 heated pools, Rich Heights and North Shore. Those 2 pools allow us to be open for our season longer than most other outdoor facilities, opening in early May and staying open through late September. A majority of our maintenance projects are done in-house, We're very proud of our maintenance team this summer for getting all of our facilities open and ready for you. Our first and second quarter statistics kick off with our staff. We have 71% of our staff retained from 2021. We won't stop hiring there. We'll continue with our certification and hiring program all the way through the end of September and hope to get people on board this year and hopefully retain them into 2023. This year, we launched our certification reimbursement program, and we too hope that that will help attract and retain employees for years to come. Moving on to programs, registration opened for swim lessons. We're currently 75% full. For our water fitness program, we've accomplished 80% of our revenue goals and are open for pool party reservations for groups, corporations, and any party that you would like to host at a pool facility. We're host to Reston Swim Team Association. They are 7 pools with 8 teams with room for approximately 880 swimmers. This is administered by a volunteer parent organization. Fun this summer. I encourage you to visit our pool schedule at www.reston.org for the most up-to-date schedule. We'll be working with community agencies to provide trainings. For example, our Fairfax County Health Department inspectors came out early this year and to do some training, and we hope to invite them back again. We have our Aqua Olympics on July 15th. We'll continue with our safety and certification classes throughout the summer. We have birthday parties, fitness classes, and listen for more in the events section. Our recreation pass sales for members includes pools, tennis, and pickleball. Our non-members also have options to be only pickleball, only tennis, or an all-inclusive pools, tennis, and pickleball. Our 2022 numbers have increased over 2021. We're not quite where we were before the pandemic in 2019. However, we do equate this increase in sales to people wanting to come back to enjoy our recreational amenities and the great marketing that our communications team provides. There are activities to do on the water here too. Visit our Lake Ann dock on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday for a kayak or pedal boat rental. If you'd like to take a program, we have stand-up paddleboard lessons available in the mornings and afternoons. If you would like to host a party at one of our docks with boats, please contact aquaticsinfo@reston.org. Camp begins on June 13th. Each summer there's a theme. This year's theme is Every Summer Has a Story. And the people that are going to help make these stories happen for our campers this year are the staff that you see on this slide. This past weekend, our camp counselors visited an orientation. We're excited to welcome back 75 counselors this summer, our drivers, and a big thank you to our logistics and camp seasonal registrar. Reston Camps has been in operation for 48 years. In the first and second quarter, our camp registration surpassed that of last year and pre-pandemic. With 2,256 campers registered thus far, we are in for a great summer. There are 37 sessions of camp, and we have a waiting list of 135 campers. Scholarships have been provided to 21 campers, and a big thank you to our financial support from the Friends of Reston for this year. We also have a title sponsor, the O'Gorman team, and a second sponsor, Nova Orthodontics, helping to support camp this summer. As you can see from the chart here, there's a wide variety of camp programs for a lot of different age groups, from our youngest nature tots all the way through our counselors in training. Our events department has 1 full-time staff, and we bring on some seasonal support with occasional interns to help us put on these events. We rely heavily on community volunteers for all of our large and small events. Events are held at Reston Association facilities and also locations outside of Reston. This first and second quarter, our attendance we saw was over 2,800 participants through our senior movie days, community yard sale, antique road show, and senior programs. Fun for this summer includes movies in the park, dog paddles, family dive and movies at our pools, a trip to the Nationals baseball game June 14th, private movie rentals, Totally Trucks on August 5th, Tai Chi classes, and you can see on this slide a trip to see the Jersey Boys at the Kennedy Center on June 16th. Our tennis and pickleball programs are both supported with 3 full-time staff, seasonal employees that include court monitors, maintenance, our tennis and pickleball pros and ambassadors, and we rely on our community volunteers for tournaments, events, and socials. We work with the United States Tennis Association, United States Professional Tennis Association, sponsors for tournaments, and the USA Pickleball Association. Our tennis department has 50 tennis courts across 14 locations that include lighted courts, clay courts, 36-foot courts designed for 8 and under play, and we also have 12 courts that have been blended with lines for both adult and child play. In the first and second quarters, we have kicked off with our lesson program to include 374 juniors, 153 adults. Our leagues began, we have 219 players, and we also offer private and semi-private lessons. Fun for this summer includes a continuation of our tennis lessons, court rentals, league play, and our Simon Cup will be back. Our pickleball program has 4 pickleball courts, 4 lighted and 2 lined tennis courts. 4 courts are created for pickleball play at Autumnwood. In the first and second quarters, we've had 122 registrations for lessons, filling those classes to capacity. We have an average of 50 participants per night in our drop-in opportunities, and we hosted a spring mixer tournament already with 72 players. To continue the fun this summer, we have a summer slam and paddle battle tournament this summer and fall. Pickleball lessons will continue to be available as well as open play. Our Walker Nature Center has 4 full-time staff, 1 part-time, and seasonal staff support with teachers, naturalists, and camp counselors. We also rely on our community volunteers to help with our welcome desk as citizen scientists and work with supporting us with our programs, events, and resource management. We have partners with the Audubon Society, Reston Garden Club, and the Reston Community Center. Education Center provides a variety of educational programs and resources with a mission to foster good environmental stewardship in the community. It's a 72-acre woodland with 2 streams, a pond, access to Lake Audubon, and the Nature House itself is a model of eco-friendly design and construction, LEED Gold certified by the U.S. Green Building Council. It also includes a fire ring, resource room, multi-purpose room, pavilion, and ADA accessible parking, restrooms, and trail loop. There are both natural surface trails and paved pathways. In the first and second quarter, 56 programs were offered to over 1,200 people of all ages. We were very excited to have our Spring Festival return in May with over 450 participants and entertainment sponsored by the Reston Community Center. Our native plant sale program continues to be popular with over 2,000 plants sold to 140 customers. We continued with 26 virtual and homeschool programs for 701 students, and we are very pleased to announce that our on-site field trips resumed for 35 classes to schools within the Reston community. Fun coming this summer. A fairy festival will be back on July 16th, and our nature camps will be back at full capacity. We could not do what we do at Reston Association without our wonderful volunteers. With a full-time staff member at the lead, seasonal employees for help, our community volunteers participate in a variety of things, from administrative duties, working with aquatics, tennis, pickleball at the Walker Nature Education Center, on our board and committees, through events, maintenance, environmental education, corporate engagement, and more. The mission of Volunteer Reston is to enhance the services and programs provided by the association by matching the talents of individuals, corporate teams, and groups of all ages, interests, and skill levels with a variety of opportunities for community projects. We have a representative on the Kathy Hudgens Community Center Advisory Council, and this first and second quarter, we've kicked it off by engaging 381 volunteers for 969 service hours, which is the equivalent of over $29,000 in labor for the association. We participated in environmental projects, community events, some of which include Reston's Arbor Day, Habitat Heroes, Stream Monitoring Community Cleanups, MLK Day, Spring Festival, our Spring Mixer for Pickleball Tournament, and fun coming this summer. There are recreational opportunities, but just a few are Dog Paddle, Totally Trucks, and the Lake Ann Cardboard Boat Regatta. We also have corporate days of service available. RA volunteers all share one thing in common. They share a passion for making Reston a better place to live, work, play, and get involved. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that you're able to get out there this summer and have a great experience at one of the many programs, events, or facilities that Reston Association has to offer.
Greetings. My name is Erwin Flashman. I am Secretary of the Board of Directors of the Reston Association. The board has decided that the Secretary shall render a quarterly update on the progress of work mandated by the board in an approved motion that has not yet been completed or which is ongoing. This video is that report for the second quarter of this year and represents the status of matters as the completion by staff of its review of these matters during the first 2 weeks of June. There are a total of 19 board motions on which work continues. 3 deal with matters related to the development of a new website, 2 deal with a review of recreational facilities, 2 with a review of the Reston Comprehensive Plan, 2 with the establishment of lighting and pickleball at the Barton tennis courts, that is Barton Hill, and 2 with the review of board resolutions. The specific details of these motions, including the dates of approval, the specific proposals, and the voting record of the board on each, as well as the work done to date and to be done, are set out in the board packet for the June 23, 2022 board meeting. My purpose here is to provide you with a brief overview of the status of these matters, and I have numbered each of them going from 1 to 19 in a chronological order. Where a matter is dealt with in more than one motion, I will skip a discussion of the matter until we reach the last motion which dealt with it, and then talk about all of the relevant items. The matters are numbered in chronological order, starting with the oldest from the board meeting of June 25, 2020. The first item is the approval to move forward with the conversion of the Hunter Woods ball field to a park area. The site plan for the project is pending at the county. A required boring was submitted to the county recently, and the DRB approved the plan in 2020. The county approval for the minor site plan is anticipated to be issued shortly. Item number 2 will be covered with item number 16. Item number 3, the board directed the board and the CEO to establish a periodic review of business processes and controls. Treasurer Petrine gave a presentation on the topic at the February 2022 board meeting, and staff will work with the fiscal committee to outline the basics of the controls and procedures in place once the new CEO is on board, understanding that the new CEO may wish to update these. Items number 4, 5, and 6 will be covered respectively with number 13, 1, and 16. Item number 7, the board directed the CEO to record all public expressions by members on the closing or repurposing of any RA pools and provide a monthly report on the same to PrAC. The reports are compiled from member comments at board meetings, on social media, emails, and a specific survey, and continue to be delivered to PrAC and made available to any requesting member. Item number 8 will be covered with item 19. Number 9. The board approved the creation of the position of a Director of Environmental Services at the senior leadership team level to be budgeted for the 2022-23 budget. A job description has been created and recruitment is awaiting the onboarding of the new CEO. Item number 10. The board approved a set of trainings and discussions for the board on diversity, equity, and inclusion, the first of which is a web-based training for individual board members to take. Board members have been invited to take this training, and a workshop was to be provided as well as other activities. The selection of a facilitator for the workshop by the board is pending. Item number 11 will be covered with item 17. Item 12. The board approved the retention of Albert Risk Management Consultants to assist it in securing a comprehensive insurance package for the RA. Insurance specifications were sent out to 4 brokers. Bids were to be received by late May and early June and reviewed by the fiscal committee in its June meeting for its recommendations. Item number 13, and we return to item number 4, in which the board voted to accept the Recreational Facilities Working Group's report, to forward a copy to Communications for information to members, and to the fiscal committee for its analysis to be completed in May and be presented to the board. The board held a workshop session on the matter on May 20, 2021, and held a joint meeting with PrAC on the matter on October 27, 2021. Communications issued several communiques referencing the material for the members. The fiscal committee continues to review as part of its review of the 2022-23 budget process and will present its analysis at a future board meeting. Item number 13, the board directed staff to develop a professional services proposal and execution timeline for the development and implementation of an overall community survey of community wants, needs, and desires as recommended by PrAC, along with the 2022-23 budget impacts. Staff is working with PrAC member Jane Baum on this and expects to send out a request for information and proposal in June. We are now on item 14, but begin with item 5. The board expressed its sense that the Reston Comprehensive Plan, RCP, should remain committed to equity and Reston's founding principles to assure Reston's economic vitality is fully available to all members, contributes toward Reston's readiness for the future, and connects assets to resources. Sections of the task force draft touch on these matters, and the RA hosted a town hall on March 2, 2022 on the plan. Item 14. The board requested the EAC, PrAC, and MTAC to review the relevant chapters of the draft RCP and make the recommendations to the board in accordance with the review schedule. The advisory committees have provided their recommendations to the task force draft, but the county staff has issued a substantially different version of the RCP. A motion will be presented to the board this evening concerning these matters. Item 15, the board approved the addition of the development designated as Reston Arboretum to become subject to the RA deed, establish a cluster association or its equivalent, and pay the full assessment per unit. The supplementary declaration has been signed by both parties, and it is expected to be recorded this month. Item 16 begins with item 2, in which the board directed staff to move toward the development of an interactive website on May 26, 2022. Item 6, the board urged the IT committee to hold its first meeting as soon as possible and make updates to the website as its first priority. Wipfli was named as the virtual CIO in October 2021. The IT committee met for the first time on December 13, 2021, and the board and IT committee met on January 5, 2022. The CIO met with the communications director to coordinate matters, and the board approved the IT work plan. Item 16, the board directed the IT committee to review the contract and services with the master suite vendor and make recommendations for the board's March 2022 meeting. The contract was renewed for 1 year, and the IT committee will review such contracts in the future. Item 17, item 11 first. The board directed the Recreation and Communications staff to work with PrAC to host a focus meeting with the Barton Hill community to inform it of the impacts of the tennis facilities renovation to include lighting and pickleball and their impacts on traffic. To enable this directive, Kimley Horn, the engineers for the project, and MTAC examined the potential constraints and pathway crossing changes. Kimley Horn recommended a diagram to represent lighting and landscaping to mitigate noise and lighting year-round. A determination letter from the county indicated a site plan had to be filed for the project. Item 17, the board authorized retention of counsel to advise it on the county determination and advocate with the county on behalf of RA with respect to these matters. The board retained counsel who filed an appeal, which will be heard on July 20, 2022. Item 18. The board approved the refurbishment of Shadowwood Pool under option 2. Kimley Horn is working on the matter, and staff submitted a sketch to the County Health Department and Land Services Division of the county to obtain further guidance. Feedback from these entities is pending. Item number 19, starting with item 8. The board directed the Board Governance Committee to review the use of the phrase ex officio in board resolutions and report back to the board by September 2021. The matter is pending. Item 19. The board directed Secretary Flashman and General Counsel Anthony Champ, the review group, to review all board resolutions for various purposes, including internal inconsistencies and those which may exist with the governing documents, unenforceable statements of policy, and those inconsistent with RA philosophy. It is estimated that this project will take roughly 1 year to complete. The review group will report on its progress and bring recommendations to the board for action from time to time. Thank you, and that is the end of this report.
Good evening. This evening I want to give you a brief update on some Reston land use issues that are affecting the Reston community, and I know that the community has been both involved with and interested in. First, let's talk about the Reston Comprehensive Plan Task Force. And that long process has been going on for about 2 years, over 50 meetings. Not too recently, the task force teams completed their interim draft chapters, and on May 20th, county staff completed its review of those chapters. And now the task force chapter leads are meeting with staff and reviewing and proposing revisions to the text. On June 6th, the task force gave substantive approval to the Heritage Resources chapter, which was the first chapter approved after the staff rewrite of the task force version of the comp plan. On June 13th, the task force narrowly approved the transportation chapter and also approved the economic development chapter. There was also a meeting on June 21st that came after the development of this video, and we'll report out on that in a future land use update. There will be other meetings in June and likely into July as the chapter leads are meeting with county staff to get to a point where the full task force can then vote on the chapters. Community engagement was thought to be starting in July. We believe that's going to be pushed to September based upon the amount of work left to review the chapters that have been revised by the staff. So we will keep the community posted as that timeline and process progresses. The RA board will also conduct a meeting/hearing at some point. We do not have a date for that yet. The Fairfax County Planning Commission hearing, originally scheduled for September 14th, very likely will change, as will the Board of Supervisors hearing that was originally scheduled for October 11th. And when we have dates for those, we will certainly let the community know. So again, I mentioned the RA board public hearing and meeting on that. Again, that will be done after the task force is done, going over the staff revisions to the various chapters. And it's likely, or the possibility exists, that there will be two chapters, staff written chapter and then a task force preferred chapter on various aspects of the plan. And so we will try to wade through that and bring both of those forward to the community in some way. The RA advisory committees have already submitted information to the RA board and very well may do so again based upon the final written versions of the chapters that will be going forward for the community engagement, which will be led by Supervisor Alcorn's office. And as RA's representatives to the task force, John Mooney and myself, we have and will be abstaining from voting on the final chapters, as that will be a role of the RA Board of Directors under advisement of the community, its advisory committees, and staff. A couple other land use matters I want to touch on. The Fannie Mae redevelopment proposal over at the old distillery site went to the Planning Commission for decision only on June 15th, and at that meeting was deferred to June 22nd, which is also after the development of this video. Some of the key elements of the changes that took place between a Planning Commission hearing and last week's meeting was a reduction in the total number of units to 74 townhomes and 8 2/2s. None of the environmental quality corridors, either the originally mapped or the newly mapped, are now being touched by the new development or proposed development. There's now additional public space near the office building and a public trail connection from the pond area to American Dream Way. And also there's no head-in parking as was originally proposed for American Dream Way. There are a number of other changes proposed as well. Those are just some of the highlights, and you can follow this link to get more details on that application. Another large project coming forward is the Comstock redevelopment for the south side of the Wheelie Reston East Metro Station, currently known as Commerce Metro Center. The application was accepted by the county on June 7th, and the applicant has started public outreach to the local clusters and other associations. The Planning and Zoning Committee meeting held in May was the first time that committee had reviewed this, and this YouTube link takes you to that meeting. And I encourage those of you who are interested to watch that and listen to the presentation the applicant made to the committee. There was also another application presented to that committee, the Loss 2 by Pulte, north of this site and on the other side of Wheelie Avenue. It's all residential application, and as more details come forward on that application, we'll bring those forward in a future land use update. If you have any questions about this, you can email landuse@reston.org, and we'll try to respond to those as quickly as possible. And I thank you for your time.
Good evening. This is the Treasurer's Report for May 2022. I am able to report that the financials closely track the 2022 budget approved by the Board of Directors, both as to revenues and operating expenses. I'd like to focus on two totals from the dashboard on this slide. First, because of the importance of member assessments to the association revenue stream, we have recognized 91% of total budgeted revenue through the end of May. And second, because of the relative significance of personnel costs throughout the year, the association has only incurred about 35% of its budgeted operating expenses for the year. Slide 3 shows in some detail the revenues and expenses by cost center across several time periods. First, actual revenues and expenses for the month of May 2022. Second, the actual revenues and expenses for 2022 from January 1st. Third, the budgeted revenues and expenses for 2022 through the end of May. And finally, the total operating budget for 2022. As well, there are several columns of comparative data and analysis. Slide 4 provides operating data by function for the month of May, actual data through May for 2021 and 2022, and budget variance information for the current year, actual to budget. Slide 5 shows the revenue variances in a graphic format. The greatest positive variances, outlined in blue, continue to be driven by particularly strong registrations for camps, aquatics, and tennis. As of June 10th, RA staff reported that the camps have a total of 2,000 registered campers and counting. RA also has an active waiting list of 140 campers. There are 17 different types of camps. Some are full with waiting lists, and others still have registration slots available. The significant negative variances outlined in red are the result of the increased use of credit cards to pay for membership assessments and other payments, and a slowdown in new sponsorships and advertising revenue. Slide 5 shows the revenue variances in a graphic format. The greatest positive variances, outlined in blue in revenues, continue to be driven by particularly strong registrations for camps, aquatics, and tennis. As of June 10th, RA staff reported that the camps have a total of 2,000 registered campers and counting. RA also has an active waiting list of 140 campers. There are 17 different types of camps. Some are full with waiting lists and others still have registration slots available. The significant negative variances outlined in red are the result of the increased use of credit cards to pay for member assessments and other payments, and a slowdown in new sponsorships and advertising revenue. That is all I have this evening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me by email at bodpatrine@reston.org. Thank you very much.
If you're going to have a good time tonight, I need to hear you right now. One more time. Give it up for the PTO.
Hi, I'm Ashley Soloff with the Reston Association, and new this year we're doing outdoor movie rentals. This is an opportunity for your corporation, your churches, your schools. Bring the family, your friends together. This fun outdoor activity can accommodate up to 400 people with our brand new high-definition movie equipment. We have concessions, lawn games, a great sound system, If movies and popcorn sound like something that you're interested in, please contact me to help you design your perfect outing.
This out. Not even a fraction.
And then these are the early stages of our very final model.
This is STEAM Team, our public art program that's now in existence for 10 years. This is the 8th version of a sculpture they will install on Lake Thoreau on the concrete spillway. Each year the students design and challenge themselves to create an original work of art to put on display, the idea being to start a dialogue with the community. They have to go through all the rigors that a professional would have to go through.
Here you could see that our team just kept playing with the idea of the human form and specifically the silhouette of a face. And these were some prototypes of our final model.
The sculpture, like the framework for both the side faces, it's going to be framed with 2x4s, and the outer layer is going to be mainly die-bound pins.
So one side will represent the right side of the brain. It'll be geometric, white and black, more logical, while the other side will be the left brain, colorful, chaotically playful. The entire sculpture will also be tied down with aircraft cable, as done in the 5 previous installations, so we'll know it'll be successful. Evening lights will also be hidden inside platform boxes to prevent view from the shore.
The project's called Cerebral, and right now maybe you can see it looks like 2 faces facing the sky. The top triangle is the nose. There'll be an outline of the human head. The students have this concept of these humans looking skyward, and there'll be panels placed on this that will define the human head. That opening will remain open. There's 2 members that go between the structure to make it more structurally sound. Also, there'll be lights in there. Those lights will talk about the neuron activity, the synapsing in the brain that occurs and our perception. That's it, and just bring that right over. That's it, that's teamwork. There you go. There you go. This project and program is amazing because it puts students through the exercise of learning how to create something out of nothing. And it takes every aspect of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. If you want to bring something into existence, you need to be able to learn what needs to be done in order to produce something. And so it's a lot of questions and a lot of research and investigation. This is not only a wonderful work of art you get to enjoy on the lake, but it takes amazing learning and educational components for the students to be able to do something like this. We're excited about this brand new project, Cerebral, from STEAM Team. Installation on the lake will probably take place last week of June or maybe the first week of July.
Welcome to the Reston Farmers Market 25th year at the Lake Ann Village Center in Reston, Virginia. I am Fran Lovis. This is John Lovis. We're co-market managers with the Fairfax County Park Authority. We also have Keith Strange and Ann Strange working with us as co-market managers. And it's a beautiful Saturday to be out shopping at your local farmers market.
People tend to think of farmers markets in terms of produce and orchard products. And we got 9 of the best in the world. And right now, it's all the leafy greens you can imagine, and radishes and asparagus. Meanwhile, we got 22 other vendors, seafood, a wide selection of meats. You've got mushrooms, we got 3 different bakeries. We've got all kinds of farm value-added products.
Well, I come out here very frequently, perhaps 3 or 4 times in the month, or certainly lots of times during the course of the season. The reason is the freshness and the quality of the food that's offered. You have onions here, scallions. You have kohlrabi, beets, radishes. Well, the Reston Farmers Market is an institution that's been here for 25 years. The Reston Association was partly instrumental in its founding, along with Lovis's, and it is something that has become an institution in Reston and serves Reston very well over the last 25 years.
Cornerstone, the best charity in Northern Virginia, is here running a supplemental nutrition assistance program tent, which allows our lowest income neighbors to eat at the farmers market.
Our market is all local, all fresh. All of our vendors from 125 miles. And we also have a very walkable, bikeable, and even people come across the lake on boats. We have a big community that supports us every year, and we are very, very proud of our vendors and our customers. Thank you. Please come down and see all the wonderful things we have here.
Come be part of the market.
Hi, we're here at Lake Ann Plaza on the dock to announce the addition of 14 new boats to our rental fleet. We've got these new pedal boats you see here. These new paddle boats will also have shade awnings on them, so you don't have to worry about the sun while you're out there. These are our new single and tandem kayaks. Our hours of operation are going to be Friday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. The last rental will go out 1 hour before closing. You're welcome to bring your fishing gear and try your luck out on the lake. Just please keep in mind there is no swimming at any time. We look forward to you joining us here at Lake Ann Plaza. While enjoying all of the new boats, you can visit all of the shops and restaurants that are also here. Here at RA Boat Rentals, we also have group and private rentals available. Please contact RA Boat Rentals at reston.org for more information.
The Reston 2022 Recreation Passes are now on sale. There's something here for everyone. With 50 outdoor tennis courts, 24 lighted for night play, and 4 lighted pickleball courts, Reston Association offers one of the most extensive tennis programs in the Washington metropolitan area. Courts include youth 8 and under 36-foot courts, year-round hard surface courts, clay surface courts, hitting walls, and 4 dedicated pickleball courts. And if that wasn't enough, another benefit of having the RA Rec Pass is access to one of our pools nestled around this beautiful community. We have heated pools for early and late season access, lap lanes, hot tubs, diving boards, spray parks, shaded picnic areas, not to mention water slides. Membership options include resident members and non-members. And we have guest pass options as well. Please visit reston.org and click on this link to find out more. The link is also available in the description section of this video. You can purchase your pass online and have them shipped to you for free. In-person pass sales are available Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 12001 Sunrise Valley Drive, Reston. Get out and experience all that Reston has to offer. Make this year something special.
As we roll into warmer weather this spring, I know Restonians are eager to get out and take full advantage of Reston's lakes. Here are some things to remember if you'd like to use a boat in Reston. First of all, please remember no swimming is permitted in Reston's lakes, so boats and paddleboards are the best way to explore and enjoy the water. If you plan on bringing a kayak, canoe, or any other kind of hand-carried boat, stand-up paddleboard to Reston's lakes this summer, be sure to register it with a one-time free general access permit like this one. You can register for this permit by going to the Member Services desk or emailing watershed@reston.org. This permit is required and allows us to know who is using the lakes, helps us track down the owners of misplaced boats, and acts as an acknowledgement of the rules of Reston's lakes. If you live on Lake Audubon, Lake Anne, or here on Lake Thoreau, you might own a permanently moored boat, like this one, docked on your own property or on that of your cluster. These are pontoon boats or deck boats, which are registered with RA and stay in the lakes year-round. These boats require an annual renewal, so the Reston Association knows whose boat is whose. If you have not renewed your permanently moored boats registration this year, make sure to head to WebTrack to purchase your permit and download the renewal form. If you would like to register for a permanent mooring permit, please contact us at watershed@reston.org before purchasing your boat so that RA staff can confirm your boat conforms to RA's rules. Every year, the Watershed team inspects the lakes in early summer to ensure that permanently moored boats comply with environmental, safety, and aesthetic standards. For instance, any boat in Reston, permanently moored or hand-carried, may only use electric motors. Gas motors are not permitted under any circumstance. For details on Reston's boat policies, check out our boat guide found on reston.org. This helpful tool details all kinds of useful information on the types of boats allowed in Reston's lakes and their specifications. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to the Watershed team at watershed@reston.org, or you can email me personally at broads@reston.org. See you on the lakes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being so patient and waiting for us in our extended executive session. As you can see, we had a very tough decision ahead of us. So I would entertain a cleansing motion. I think Director Petrini.
The Board of Directors certifies to the best of each present member's knowledge that only those matters appropriate to executive session of personal or legal personnel or legal nature were heard, discussed, or considered by the board during the executive session.
Second. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? One abstention. And Lori is an abstention. Perfect. So 2 abstentions. Perfect. Okay. And we have a few other motions to make now that we're out. Move that in accordance with the association's policies on purchasing and procurement to approve the contract with CORE for the association's insurance in the amount of $963,730. If I can get a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you so much. And we have one more. Glenn, you have another motion to make for us?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Direct the general counsel and the acting CEO to work with Lake Audubon Terrace regarding the request to utilize a portion of RA's shoreline for boat mooring purposes to draft a mutually agreed upon limited license agreement to be subsequently agreed upon by the board at a date to be determined later.
A second?
Second.
Thank you, Beth. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John, you were an aye? Okay.
On mute too.
Any no's?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Forgive me, I'm sorry.
So you're an aye?
Yes, ma'am.
Any no's? No. Any abstentions? Mike, did you vote?
He's on mute also.
Mike is a no?
Oh, he voted no. I'm
Yeah,
seeing thumbs
I
down.
voted no. Sorry about that. I'm having a lot of connectivity issues, but yes, I voted no.
Thank you, Mike. So one no and all other yeses, no abstentions. Fantastic. Do we have any other? I do have one quickly on the legal committee. Move to ratify and approve the decision reached in executive session to adopt the June legal committee's report and affirm the decisions reached. There's a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Thank you. Now moving back to our candidate appointments for Hunters Wood Dogwood Director. Director Farrell, you have a motion.
Thank you. I move to appoint Margaret Perry to the Hunters Woods Dogwood position on the board.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye. Where's my light?
Any no's? And I'm
I
an aye
abstain.
here. So, and one abstention. Okay, so we have all yeses and one abstention. I don't think we need any other motions, but I definitely want to take the time to thank all of the other candidates who applied. If there is anything, you saw our executive session, it went on half an hour more than what it needed to be. This was a very, very tough decision for all of us, but we hope that the others continue engaged with RA, and please, Christina, we'll get you a list of our committees. We would love to see more of you. Carol, you know we love you, from Friends of Reston. David,
Yes.
absolutely. And Radhika, we hope to see you in
Radhika,
the pools
thank you.
for sure. Thank you, folks. And Margaret,
Thank
you
you all.
join us on the board as of this moment. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
Thank you very much. I know that timing wise, we're need to continue forward, but I do appreciate the board's confidence in my ability to assist and to represent my district. So thank you very much. Please know that I am here. I am listening. I have shifted my location within New Orleans, but I am still here for the duration.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Radhika. And thank you, Carol. Please,
Thank you.
we hope to see more of you and continue staying involved with RA. All righty. That said, we still have a little bit of business that we need to finish in executive session. Yes, David, you had a quick comment. Christina, can we unmute you?
Unmuted. Just a quick comment. Now I can go to bed earlier tonight. I really enjoyed this whole exercise. I hope that we will get together and discuss more in the future.
Definitely. Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you all for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you. Good night. Okay.
I
Christina,
motion to resume executive session.
one
Oh,
second,
sorry.
Jennifer, can you hold on? Christina, is Mr. Smoot back? Do you know?
Let me check 1 second. No,
I
I'm
don't
not
see him.
Okay, so we will be going into executive session for a quick minute without Director Flashman, and we will be right back. Okay, go ahead.
I motion to resume executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Erwin, you can vote on that. You're just not invited. Thank you, folks. See you on the flips. Thank you, everyone, for waiting so patiently for us. Sean and Christina, you can take us out of, thank you. Okay, cleansing motion, anybody? You're on mute. Directors, you're on mute when we come out.
Thank you. Madam President, I move that the board certify that the only matters discussed in executive session were covenant complaints and were appropriately done.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that was unanimous. Thank you so much. And
Maggie,
are-
we need Maggie's vote.
she did. She's right there and she lifted her hand.
Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And do we have another motion? Would any of the directors like to take a shot at it?
Sure.
On the appeal?
Madam President, I move that the board deny the appeal sought by the whatever address is involved there.
1601 Washington Plaza LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I think that was unanimous. Mike, were you and I?
Yes, aye. Aye.
No,
Perfect. That was unanimous without Erwin.
Erwin's
Erwin is a
abstaining.
no. Erwin was
Madam-
not in. Erwin is a no.
Madam President, I move that we direct RA staff to file a code compliance complaint with Fairfax County regarding the same property.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Again, that was unanimous without Erwin. Perfect. Moving on, and we're going to try our level best to get as much as we can in the half an hour that we have left. Peter, thank you. And I saw Doug as well, and we've all were amazed with the report. It is absolutely fantastic. Didn't expect anything less from my EAC. And I think Lori is going to help us with the motions that we have for the board. Would you like to take a shot?
I'd rather not. Sorry, I'm just not up to motions tonight.
No. We just wanted to give you the
Over
honor
COVID, yeah.
as EAC board liaison, but
If you need a
I
motion, ma'am, I'll move to accept the report if you need that to get the presentation moving along.
no, so we actually have some proposed board motions that they worked on with staff in our list.
Stephen,
Yes.
go ahead.
Does anybody have it? If not, I'm happy to go through the motion. Do we have any questions at all for Doug or Peter?
That was an excellent report. Top quality.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, I will go down the list. Move to direct staff to evaluate conversion of gas mowers and hand landscaping equipment to electric and provide a cost analysis for the board's consideration in our 2023 budget development.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Jennifer, are you a yes or no?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Multiple papers all over my desk, sorry. Okay, the next one I have is move to direct staff to obtain the cost to convert RA's remaining parking lot lights to LED for the board's consideration in the 2023 budget development.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm abstaining.
Abstaining as well. Okay. All righty. Third one, move to direct staff to inventory, map, and develop an inspection and maintenance schedule for all RA-owned drainage culverts by October 2022. Did I say that word right? Is it culverts?
Yes, you said it right.
We don't have that in India, so. Okay. Is there a motion?
No.
Oh, so move.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second, just for discussion, so we can talk about it. Would anybody like to start us off? Jennifer, go ahead. Looks like you-
Larry, do you have time to do this between now and October? Do you feel like, how do you feel about this one?
We can do this. This is one we suggested, actually. We have a number of our major culverts mapped, probably 50 out of about 200. And so I talked to Mike and Ali about this, and so yeah, we're comfortable with doing this.
Thank you.
And all of these board motions will work with staff, just to put that out there.
So,
Yes, John.
okay, so there are whole bunches of culverts here. Some of them are owned by the county and some of them are owned by RA. So this motion is only asking for the RA culverts to be mapped. Did I understand the motion correctly?
Correct. It only asks for RA culverts. Yes. Okay, are we ready to call the vote on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, Mike, you were an aye? Yes, fantastic. That was unanimous. Okay, I just have 2 more to go. Move to direct staff to provide 1 acre of canopy enhancements or reforestation in the 2023 budget. Is there a motion? Can I get a second? Do you want me to repeat it? Did you want me to
So
repeat
moved.
it? Okay.
No, I'm going to make the motion as you read. I don't know if people need it repeated.
Okay.
Second.
And Erwin, you seconded it?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Any questions, discussions? Yes, Jennifer. Go ahead.
I just have a comment. I feel comfortable more getting a quote for how much this costs, because I honestly have no idea. But this motion directs staff to put it in the 2023 budget. So I'm not as comfortable with that because we have a lot of decisions to make in the upcoming budget. So I'd rather see the motion to have an idea of what it might cost before.
And I would agree with Director Juszczyk. Having done a fair amount of reforestation with my clients, that's a number that gets really big really fast. And I'd like to get a number before we agree to put it in the budget.
Any other, Bob, go ahead.
Could we amend it to include it in the first draft of the budget, or
I'd
so that
rather,
we have a chance
Not
to
at
mention the
this point.
size?
I think we'd have to deny this one and do it, someone doing a different motion.
So we can vote on it and let it fail and then do a different motion, or if just throwing it out there. When we're talking about, regardless, we have to do a different motion, but just throwing it out there, staff, if you could pursue and see if Friends of Reston will be able to help us with some of the costs for something like this.
Can I ask
Just-
whether this was also worked through with staff?
All of the motions were with staff. Larry,
And
any
so-
thoughts?
Yes, it was, and we're actually working on the costs. I mean, there's various ways to do it. You can do an acre of, seedlings, or you can do a combination of seedlings and 1 gallon, 2 gallon, 1-inch caliper. There's a variety of ways to do it. So
Yeah.
we we can put together 2 or 3 ways to do it. In terms of what Director Juszczyk was asking about the costs, there's you can just, it's pretty cheap to go in and do it with seedlings, but you may not get-
Seedlings for an acre would be not a substantial cost.
No, but and you wouldn't get quite as good a recruitment.
Of course. And so, but I'm just saying that as drafted, the motion allows a range of responses.
I'm okay supporting the motion, but we can call a vote. Let's call a vote and see if we've got support. If not, we can rework it. Okay, all in favor? For Margaret, are you yes or no?
I'm going to abstain on this one, please.
So we have, Erwin, did you vote?
I did not vote, no.
Okay, so we have 4 yeses. Okay. Any noes?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4 noes. Okay, 4 noes and 1 abstention. Okay, anybody want to take a shot at making the motion differently?
Do
move
we
that
have any idea what would be a reasonable cap to put on?
No, I would move to direct staff to present proposals and cost figures to the board as part of the preparation of the budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Glenn, was that a yes? Yes. Perfect. I think that was unanimous. Yay, this is easy. Okay, last one to go. Move that staff accelerate the replacement of bench and trash can lumber to recycled materials such that the conversion is completed by the end of 2025.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect. All in favor?
I
Aye.
just want to say
Sorry. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I just want to say I'm just generally not against this report at all. I just have a lot of concerns going into this 2023 budget. And so I get nervous when we are accelerating things because I'd rather make the decision when we're making decisions on the budget. So me voting to abstain or no on these motions, I don't want anyone to take as though I don't support the effort and the great work that you guys did. And you may certainly see me vote yes later when we get to the budget process for them, if we can afford them.
Thank you. Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, I agree with Jennifer, and I think my discomfort with supporting this one is I don't know what that cost will be. I don't like voting for something I don't know how much it's going to cost. So I would propose that we have something similar to the previous one where we get a cost estimate before we approve it.
Can I speak to the motion I made?
Sure.
Okay. So the reason I was comfortable in this circumstance, directors, and not in the other circumstance, is that when we were at central facilities,
Yes.
our staff fundamentally is doing it themselves. And so
Yes.
you're looking at a cost of materials which is negligible. And so that's why I was comfortable making that motion and uncomfortable making the other motion. So I don't know if that gives you any comfort, but I think that our staff is going to be able to get that done without an extraordinary cost because they're doing it themselves and we saw them doing it.
Yeah.
Erwin, and then Laurie. Go ahead, Erwin.
They indicated that the cost of replacing the staves was higher than using wood, but it would last longer. They didn't say what they anticipated would be the total cost for replacing all of them. And so we really don't know what it would be.
Laurie?
Well, but we do know that they have a solution that is a solution they thought made a lot of budgetary sense because they did price other alternatives. They've begun the process. They exhibited real pride in having found and begun to implement a good process. So I did not get any sense that this would be a challenge. I did not specifically ask them how long it would take to replace them all, but clearly the work is underway. Yes, Larry.
Larry,
You know, we'll certainly have these numbers, probably within a couple of weeks, for the budget consideration. But one of the reasons we put in 2025 there is because obviously it's staff time to do it. And you've got to get the product, which isn't always the easiest thing because it's fairly specialty product coming in. So we gave ourselves a fair amount of time to get this full conversion in place.
Okay. Are we okay to vote? Margaret and Mike, any questions? Nope. Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Mike, are you a yes or a no?
He's a yes.
Yes.
I'm a
Yes.
no.
I'm a no as well.
Okay, so 2 no's, 1 abstention, others a yes. Fantastic, that's it. Thank you so much.
Don't we need a motion to accept the report? And if so, I'll make that motion.
Go ahead.
I move to accept the report
Second.
on the climate change.
Fantastic. All in favor? Yes,
Aye.
Larry. Sorry, 1 second. Larry, yeah.
In the final materials that Christina put up, there are 2 additional motions that we got from Doug Britt.
Oh,
Oh,
Larry,
I'm
can you
happy-
share that
I'm-
on the screen if you have it?
I can share it one second.
Sorry, it's not in my printout.
It was published on Tuesday.
Oh, got it.
sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
no worries.
Number 6 and number 7.
All right, Lori, want to take a stab at it?
Sure.
Oh, Peter has
So-
his hand. Peter, go ahead. Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine discussion, but I feel like we've
Yeah.
jumped really quickly into like the tactical issues, and I was hoping that we had a chance to talk about strategy, like the big picture. And that begins with the vision that we've outlined for Reston on climate change. And I just want to read what we've proposed. And it's a community that makes every effort to reduce its contributions to the causes of climate change while resiliently and equitably adapting to and thriving in the face of the environmental changes that cannot be prevented. And that to me is the most important thing, that we commit to that. And if that requires a motion to commit to that, great. If that's encompassed in the board accepting the report, great. But at the high level, to me, that's the most important thing. Second point that I wanted to make is that this report is about action. It's not really about sort of saying what's happened and what we expect to happen in the future. It's about what can we do. And the first four motions are about what can we do now. But what we've described and what one of the motions that's upcoming is about an ongoing, and it's actually an infinite planning process. And I say infinite in that it should never stop. And that is an action planning and implementation process to cope with climate change on an ongoing basis. This isn't something that we're going to be able to wave our wand today, tomorrow, next year, in 10 years, and it'll go away. Reston needs to stay committed to this issue. And I'd like Reston to commit to a climate action planning process that's ongoing, that's inclusive, that's equitable, and that actually taps into the powers that Reston doesn't have under its immediate influence, but can help us access. And that includes working with the county, working with Resilient Fairfax, working with Reston businesses, businesses like the one that I'm from, ICF, which is relocating to Reston, with Kimley Horn, who's we work with Kimley Horn all the time. There's businesses all across Reston that I think need to be central to the solution. So those are some of the big strategic issues. And then the last motion here is really about committing to the full range of actions that Reston can take to both adapt to climate change and to mitigate or to reduce our emissions of greenhouse gases. And we have a number of recommendations that go significantly beyond the four motions that have been made here. So with that, I'll just stop talking, but I wanted to make sure that we got that sort of strategy and sort of the importance of kind of what we're trying to lay out here, that this is a process.
Yes.
And that I'd like the board I'd like Reston to commit to dealing with this in a serious way on an ongoing basis.
Absolutely.
And
Yes, Doug.
I want to mention something too here with regard to this last motion. I just think it is extremely important. And I happened to have a meeting with Supervisor Alcorn yesterday on another environmental Reston matter in my capacity as a board member of Rescue Reston, and on stormwater issues and runoff. And it came up that, they're talking about I was meeting with the engineers too, the county engineers, and they were talking about the impacts to Reston with the 500-year storm event, like the one that happened a few years ago that flooded the VDOT parking lot. And I mentioned at that time that we were doing this report, and it is clear to us that the frequency of 500-year storm events is going to be less than the 500 years that historically have been in place, and that the county needs to plan for more frequent and intense events.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, Supervisor Alcorn informed me that he was involved in, and you probably know this more than I do, about cooperating or collaborating with Reston with an initiative for mitigation to find ways to increase the opportunities to put EV charging stations in our community. And with that, I mentioned that we felt as a committee that there was a lot of commonality in the issues of resilience and mitigation that we're recommending for Reston that the county is already doing itself in its Fairfax Resilient Fairfax programs and the CCAP program. And he led me to believe he would be very interested in further collaborations with Reston on these climate change issues. So I just wanted to throw that out for what it's worth.
Thank you, Doug. Yes, Jennifer.
I respect the motions, and thank you, Larry, or Christina, who put them on the screen for us. Completely respect those motions. As a board, we have decided, and maybe we could change our minds when we get to the board secretary's report, but we have held on recruiting the leader that we all identified for our environmental issues, our staff leader. And I would be uncomfortable moving on these with the staff that we currently have and not involving who that next leader is. I think that they're really important, and we would benefit if we had somebody who could lead from a staff perspective kind of consistently to identify these strategies to get us to where we want to be.
Okay. Laurie, I know you have your hand up, but I was just going to make a quick note. The last two motions were added kind of last minute on Tuesday into our board packets. So as a board, I think we had decided if it's not in our packet by Friday, we're not going to consider it and vote on it. And I don't want to change the rules, even though this is something I'm very passionate about for the other directors. But Peter, we heard you loud and clear, and something for us to consider as a board is to take on a positions resolution like we have with the golf courses. And, I know, Urban, you're looking at resolutions. Laurie, if you could work with EAC on that, come to us with. And Doug, you're very familiar with the resolution that we have on the golf courses as RA. So something similar for us as a board. And absolutely, the two motions will not be missed. I'm going to try to see if we can do it as a unanimous email vote. If it doesn't happen, I promise I'll add it to next month's agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laurie. I know I cut you off.
Well, I just had to say that, I understand that we haven't hired our environmental director, but if we don't hire someone who's willing, if someone's not willing to support the motions that have been proposed here, then they're not the right pick for an environmental director. So I respect and yet insist that this is the way it's got to go. Anyway, thanks. And I wanted to thank again to Doug and Peter and the committee for all the work on the report, because one to be proud of and one to be guided by. So.
Absolutely. And Doug, for the resolution, if you need something from the board as sort of a directive asking EAC to help work with staff and board members, happy to absolutely make that at a future date. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And I know you've stayed much later than when you expected to go on, but thank you.
There's a pending motion to accept the report.
Yes. And we had a second.
You did.
So can we, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Erwin?
Aye.
Yes, perfect. And Margaret, you were yes too.
Margaret said yes. Mike says yes.
Unanimous. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Alrighty, very quickly moving on to our other friend who's been waiting for a long time, I know, Maggie. Hi. And take it away. We've all read the materials that you've sent us. And if you want to add anything very quickly, if not, I can open it to directors if they have questions for you.
No, I was just gonna attend. Thank you so much for having me. As a representative of the Friends of Reston, we really are very happy to give these reports semi-annually. And thank you for taking the time to read through the material. And please, I'm happy to answer any questions.
The directors, any questions for Maggie? Nope, hearing none. I just have a very quick update. I was hoping to do it under new business, but since I have Maggie here, if you'll I would like to just make a statement. Maggie and I had lunch with other Maggie Parker, who's on Public Art Reston. And the three of us have started sort of initial conversations about the three groups working together to come up with a 5-year strategic plan on addressing all of our underpasses and our lakes. So at the moment, out of our 25 underpasses, we have 4 that have art on them. And Larry can tell you, when you have art on the underpasses, for some reason, the graffiti goes down and the vandalism incidents come down. So we're looking at putting together a proper plan in place for the 5 years to try and complete all other 21 of them as well. And as far as artwork on the lakes, at the moment, Lake Thoreau has beautiful art provided by the students of South Lakes High School and I know our staff actually helped put that up. So we want to talk about doing the same with our other lakes. So this is just an FYI. We enjoyed the lunch. We had a great lunch. It was Maggie Squared and Sarah. And we will come back to you hopefully in the next couple of months when we've fleshed this out a little more so this is just a heads up. And they've been amazing partners to work with. So.
Yeah, thank you for those great ideas, Sarah. We did present to the Friends of Reston board meeting on this past Tuesday, and everyone was very excited for all of these projects and ideas. So I can't wait to push forward on those.
Thank you. Okay, if we've got no questions, thank you, Maggie. Good night. You can
Thank you.
Thank you. Get dinner. Bye. Folks, very quickly, in the interest of time, I'm going to just ask if we have any questions on all of these items, which is the capital projects, the IT update. I know we have Michael here with us, the CEO update, the recreational report, and finally, Irwin's secretary report. We can go one at a time. If we have any questions on capital projects update. Okay, moving on to IT update. Glenn, any thoughts? Larry, any thoughts? Nope, we're good to move on. Perfect. Acting CEO update. None. Okay, recreational report. And I know, Jennifer, you had some additional questions. We'll absolutely have Laura come back with those probably next month, maybe. And second quarter secretary update. Thank you, Irwin. I know you were not a fan of doing the video, but you did it for me and you put in the work and it came out fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that. Any questions on his secretary update? No. Oh,
I'd like to ask, because it is in his secretary's update report, that we're going to hire a new director of environment. We decided we were going to wait till the new CEO comes on board. And I'd like to know if any of the directors would like to request staff to begin posting a job ad for it. Knowing from my HR background how long it takes to hire someone, I was hoping we'd at least put an ad out there.
So just to clarify, that was not a board decision, right? That was a decision that Larry, since that hiring for that position is the CEO's decision, that came from Larry. So Larry,
okay, then I would put the request into Larry.
Correct. Yes. So it's up to Larry.
If you're amenable, I think it might be time to at least put an ad out there.
Yes, Larry, go ahead.
I'm amenable. However, here the one thing that I think it's important for the new CEO is to come in and at least. So I'm amenable, part non-amenable. So here's why. I think the new CEO needs to come in, look at how we're laid out departmentally, who's doing what, and all that kind of stuff. Because, we've had some internal discussions about, would this new position actually supervise any staff? And if so, what staff would they supervise? Because right now we've got a pretty well-oiled machine, the way your watersheds and natural areas is working together. And are we going to just, swipe those people out from under Mike Mack, as an example, and put them under this new person? And I think that's something that who you're going to be bringing in should take a look at before I make that decision. Because I think, bringing somebody in with a different perspective from wherever they may have worked could be enlightening. So that's my only caution in that, is that we've got job description essentially done, except for that portion of it.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, going on to land use update. Yes, Larry?
I have one update to the update, and that is that the Fannie Mae decision only got pushed one more week till next week.
Got it. Perfect.
They're wrangling over, I think, a single proper language.
And that you won't wait till next board meeting. You can send an email to the board and update us on what you get back.
Yeah, once I know. Yep. Yeah, I actually emailed Steve Caniglio from the applicant today so that I could give this update. I figured, well, did you get approval or not? And he said, nah, it got pushed another week. So that's your update.
Perfect, thank you. The only, I do have a motion on this, which I sent a proposal out to the board for Larry and Jennifer to work on coming back with key asks for us with the Reston Comprehensive Plan. And we also listed folks on there that they would consult with and work with and come back to us in the July board meeting. So if anybody has any questions or concerns, if not, I can move to accept the proposal if there is a second, and we can discuss. Is there a second?
What's the motion?
Move to accept the proposal as presented. If we don't have a second, motion fails, that's fine. Okay, moving on to the treasurer's report. Any questions for the treasurer's report?
I do.
Yes, Jennifer, go ahead.
Fiscal is in need of the items that we are going to want them to research for their July meeting. And I thought we were going to vote on that via a survey monkey so that we had some type of indication.
Bob sent out the list.
And then Bob sent out the lists. But we don't have, are we asking them to research everything that the members brought, or like, I need some direction if we're going to stay on our budget calendar.
Bob, do you have any thought?
My point, since I was asked to do this yesterday, was I've gotten as far as I could today. I now have the lists in a format that we could send out a survey monkeys. We could send out a survey, whether it's by whatever format, and seek directors' input. The element that's lacking is a critical one, which when you're looking at the financial impacts of the suggestions, many of the suggestions are, as relevant as they might be, they're not scoped in a way that you can put a dollar amount to them as it might relate to the 2023 budget. You know, for example, one of the observations that was made is that there are trees overhanging the roadways that appear to be on RA property, and should they be trimmed up? Now that seems like a relatively easy task. If you start looking at all the roadways and all the trees that are overhanging, it's not only it's not a single event. It would take a vast effort, and it's something that, you know, the director should weigh in on issues like that, other than the obvious ones like expanding pool hours and so on. So,
and just quickly to ask, the survey monkey piece, it's not really voting on it, but we're prioritizing, and that can be done outside and sent to staff and fiscal, right? We're just
prioritizing. And in past years, they've been able to attach numbers to them.
Right.
which honestly, I don't have access to the information that would be defensible. I would need to work with staff to.
And in past years, they've sort of done everything. Larry, is that correct? You've done almost everything. We just wanted to prioritize. Go ahead, Larry.
Right, yeah, what we've done, and I sent this in an email, but I think it only went maybe to Bob or a couple of you in response to another email. I've asked the SLT that by July 13th, for those community suggestions that we have in hand, that we at least have a rough order of magnitude, because some of them are, as Bob, you stated, they're sort of nebulous, and it's like, well, how do you wrap your arms around this? Others are very specific. The pathway Lake Ann, that we can get a per linear foot, we can pretty good solid cost for that. So we will have those costs for the July fiscal meeting. And again, and we'll note, is this are we comfortable with this? This is, within, 10 or 15% kind of number, or is this, wow, this is our best shot because we really don't know all the variables because of what was suggested. So that will be forward. Some of them, and I think Bob, even on your initial list, you indicated this, there's some that are clearly not in RA's purview, or, that just, my recommendation, you just ignore them because they have nothing to do with us, or at least respond to the person, hey, this is not within our wheelhouse. So yeah, we anticipate having that for the fiscal and obviously for the board in July as well. But they're still coming in too.
Sure. So the only three from Bob, your list, one is the program fees, new services, and capital assets. If there is a way we can have others work with staff to help you guys, that's looking for more answers than just straight up.
At this point, I would be looking to the board members, kind of ticking off which they thought were achievable in 2023 and which should be put off the future budget.
Okay. So once we have those, we can pursue it. Are you thinking once you have the Survey Monkey results, then we can move on those?
Yes, I'll put together a survey.
Good. Yes, Jennifer.
I just want to give feedback from the fiscal committee because they've said this many times to Bob and I. They want to do good work for us, but we need to direct them and give them clear direction on what to do. So I don't want to waste their time by working on something that this board doesn't have interest in. And so their preference would be for the board to direct them on what to do research wise when it comes to these types of things. And I don't think a Survey Monkey is quite that, but we'll take it for July. But in the future, I think they would prefer us to be very intentional on those fiscal things, because there's a lot of facets to RA's budget that they could look at, but they want to concentrate on ones that are important to us as a board.
The survey would be just a first step.
Right.
And
it takes a while for them to evaluate these things too. So it's a lot of time and effort, even outside the committee work, the committee meetings themselves. And then the second thing I just want to say is we've made a budget calendar and I really, really want to stick to it. So as much as we all as a team, board, staff, committees can keep on top of each other to keep going in this budget process and meeting these deadlines, we have a lot to look at this year, and I think it's critical that we stay on task.
On that topic, July 8th, I think, Larry, you have all of this going to fiscal. That's the first deliverable coming up July 8th to.
Thought
the items going are the challenge.
I thought I had July 13 just because fiscal is like July 20th.
No, so I think the date on the timeline that we have is July 8th to fiscal. The items that are going is the challenge scenarios, the 3 scenarios to be presented by July 8th. And then PRAC deliverables, the recommendations for the capital and CARF. And then it actually has staff analysis on budget selections as well. That's a conversation we can, just as it's coming up, if you can send it. I'm sure you're not going to have all of them done by July 8th, but whatever you, as they're done, if you guys can send it to them.
So it's fiscal's not moved up in July though, is it?
It's not, but they wanted time and think that's why when we voted on the budget timeline, we had July 8th on Bob's list.
That's what I referred to when I sent the email to the staff, but let me go back and check.
Are we good? No other comments, thoughts, anything? Okay, we're 10 minutes late, but if I could,
Madam President,
yes, Erwin.
I had a problem with my computer when you were asking for a second on your motion on item P, and it was frozen, and which is why I have no face there. And everything just didn't respond. So I would like to second your motion and have some discussion on it.
Just thank you, Erwin. I'm sure to open up for discussion if we'd like to, but if not, it looked like the board didn't really have an appetite to get into it. So I'm happy to work with Larry on that list and on communications and come back at the July meeting. And we'll still work with all of the characters played. I was just hoping to delegate.
May I ask, we asked the various advisory committees to make recommendations to the board. I know that PrAC made their recommendations 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know that that has been distributed to the board yet. My question is regarding the other committees. Have they made their recommendations and have their recommendations been provided?
So
to all of
the
the board?
proposal here was different.
I was asking, ma'am, I'm asking a different question. I
Yes.
understand your proposal. My question is, have the various advisory committee recommendations been distributed to the board members? And if not, I would ask that they be distributed to the board members before the next meeting of the board.
So the first round of edits were distributed to the board members. After we got staff comments, when it was sent out to the committees, we have not received back, and we've given them the deadline to have that by the July meeting.
Okay, so
That
all
said-
of the, all of the board members have all of the advisory committee recommendations on the interim report from the task force.
Yes, that was before, and yes. And if they don't, I can have Christina send that out again.
Yeah, I'm asking the rest of the board members, because I haven't
Please.
seen MTAX as an example, and I don't know what other advisory committees have acted. So I mean, I think it would be.
We are
appropriate-
well past our 9:30, so I'm happy to have Christina send that out again to all of the directors. But the
Thank you.
motion we're discussing right now is for us to come out with key advocacy points that we want to push out with our membership and figure out as a board what strategy we want to take, what is important to us as RA. But I did, it was literally just trying to give off the work to Jennifer and Larry, but that's okay. We can come up with a list and as a board discuss it at the July meeting.
Well, I think that at the July meeting, we should be acting on the recommendations of the advisory committees. And I would hope that Bach would put that on the agenda for
Okay.
the July meeting to act on the advisory committee's recommendations.
Okay, got it. Christina, you got that as a request to go on Bach's agenda?
I did make note. Thank you.
Thank you, Mira. Okay, I think we're all good. Are we
And-
good to?
And will Christina send out the drafts that were prepared by the committee?
Yes, I think Christina's made a note of that, and I'll make sure that happens. Yes. There's just two different styles, and John, I know you disagree with me. There is one where we're going down the road of wordsmithing and getting into the language, which I think is important. And we do have representatives on the Reston Comprehensive Plan Task Force, which is Larry and John Mooney. We also have Jennifer, who sits on, but in a different capacity. The part I was trying to get is that I think as RA, we need to have positions that we take For example, we have a very clear position on golf courses, where regardless of how the language changes, RA's position does not change. Because they're still wordsmithing, they're still going down different versions, different edits. So the language continues to change, but we as RA just want to have clear positions on issues, which regardless of how the language changes, that position does not change. And that's all we were trying to get, and we are trying to get. So when Larry and I talk to Walter, when we communicate with our membership, when we do an outreach effort that is extensive in August, that it's simple and it's easier, and for our members to understand why. Why do we support the golf courses? Because we have a resolution. And this is why. To make it simple and easy for folks to understand. I'm not saying the wordsmithing part is not important. That's what your lawyers live for. Absolutely, that is important. Keep us on the right path. But for us as a collective, I think it's important to also have positions that we're clear for not just board members, but for the membership as a whole to go, why is my association advocating for A, B, or C? That's all.
Madam President, we asked the advisory committees for their recommendations. It seems out of respect to the time they put into developing those recommendations that they need to be brought forward to the board. That's all I'm trying to accomplish.
Got it. One is not happening without the other. They're both happening together. Doesn't mean if you do A, you're not doing B. We gave the second draft, and I know we gave the other committees a little extended time. So by July, you will have both. Okay, I think we've put this to death. Are we okay? Yes, Jennifer, go for it.
First, I want to say I totally respect you trying to get through these meetings and getting us out of here. I'll be honest though, you're moving too fast for me, and I am desperately trying to keep up. I very much support, and I think, to be honest, we're even late on the uptake for RA to take positions. I would have loved to see RA take positions much earlier in the process, and I fully support that RA needs to take positions on a comprehensive plan, and we need to do it sooner than later. I am happy to help, come up with a draft of those, working with whomever, and then we need to find some way to advocate for them. I'm fully in support of that.
Okay, we're good to move on. Motion to adjourn. And Jennifer, I heard you about the rushing through. Absolutely, Bach will be a little more. We'll pay
It was
attention.
a full schedule.
We will pay attention to the agenda, and we will be careful on how many things we add on the agenda. But thank you folks so much for staying past the 9:30 timeline.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn, or?
We need one.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Okay.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, folks.
Night,
Good night.
everybody.
Welcome, Margaret.
Night.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.